Hey, here we go. It is Tuesday, and it is 12:30, which means it's the recap lunch hour with me, Guff, Ryan McGuffey, right here on the recap on YouTube and Facebook, wherever you're watching, whether it's Cap's page, my page, or hopefully right here on YouTube. The Bears coaching carousel continues. New news today coming across the board. We put it out there on Twitter as a way to hook you in. ESPN, and I want to talk about this. ESPN did an insider article today on their predictions of where the next head coach will land, or who that next head coach will be at each of the openings. And it's interesting because we have the Mike McCarthy situation now going. Here's the new news, and up to the moment here, Tom Pelissero did report earlier, not long ago, that Mike McCarthy will interview Wednesday. So Mike McCarthy will interview tomorrow with the Chicago Bears. And I know we discussed Mike McCarthy at length yesterday here on the Recap Lunch Hour. Cap and I did a recap on day 9 of the coaching search, specifically targeted at Mike McCarthy. A lot of people, they don't like, they're turned off by the lack of playoff success. I mean, I want a guy who can go to the playoffs, get into the dance year in and year out. Now, ESPN put together their prediction. Like I said, they predict that Brian Flores, the Vikings defensive coordinator, will be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. And it's not just like a gut or a feel. They talk to people around the league and in the circles who have a feeling about which team will go where. All right, so I have a lot of thoughts on this. I don't mind the idea is okay. I don't think this particular idea works for me. He has a relationship with Ryan Poles. They both went to Boston College. That's not enough for me. I do think this team needs accountability. There's no doubt about that with Brian Flores. I just don't think that defensively, like a defensive-minded coach, it has to be the right defensive-minded coach, I think, in order for this to work. Who's the OC? There's a million questions. Obviously, the Tua history, it's there. He's learned from it. That's what I think he'll get a job again. I do. Is this the right job for him? Pablo, George has tried to address the Rooney Rule kind of areas. If you look at Bears admin, Flores would be a solid hire, but his lawsuit might have Bears looking more to McCarthy. Plus, McCarthy is good in his one. Yeah, I mean, Pablo, the stat of the day we had yesterday, I looked this up. Mike McCarthy's had 3 10-loss seasons. The Bears have had 4 straight and 8 of their last 11. And I know people are like, well, we shouldn't just settle for somebody else's trash. I thought the Cowboys were going to re-sign him. Length of the contract was part of it. I think McCarthy, to me, is probably a top 3 candidate for me as we sit here today. I don't put Brian Flores in my top 3. Mike says, I personally think McCarthy will be the guy. He will be hired at the end of the week. And you know what? It's okay, man. It is. We need a solid head coach. He is that. There's some reason in there. I like that, Mike. It's not a guy that people are going to be like, look at who we got. But he might be in a year or two. I'm okay if he's good and he can get this thing going. Swayze, what's up with you, man? What's up, Justin? Eric? Hey, Guff, I think it's going to come down to 3 finals. Ben Johnson, Mike McCarthy, and Pete Carroll. I will sign right now for those 3 finalists. I would sign. The Raiders, just for the record, the Raiders are the team that they have Ben Johnson going to. And I'll tell you what, the Tom Brady situation is real. Here, I'm going to read this. Here's what makes me, I have trepidation here, because here's what ESPN says, the insider, about the next head coach. Their prediction is Ben Johnson. Here's what it says. This definitely would have not been the spot people picked for Johnson when the process started. But I have been told new minority owner Tom Brady has been making a personal appeal to Johnson and trying to sell him on coming to Vegas to build a program together with a new GM. They fired theirs last week. There are major questions about who will play quarterback for the Raiders. But if team owner Mark Davis wants Brady to have an influence here, and Johnson is the guy Brady wants, he and the incoming GM would likely have a long runway to build the program. Here's the other thing. If the Raiders can't get Johnson, I'd keep an eye on former Seahawks coach Pete Carroll. All of a sudden, the Raiders have become a job that everyone's flocking to because of the GOAT. And everyone's like, it's just Tom Brady. It's just Tom Brady. Why do you think Fox, and you might not like him on Fox, threw 10 years, 375 at him? Because he's the GOAT, man. And getting him in the minority ownership part of the Raiders and putting him in this process has changed the game. It's changed the outlook for some of the Bears' top targets. That whole Ben Johnson aligning with a GM makes sense here. They can figure out the quarterback. But when you say, like, when I see keep an eye on Pete Carroll, that makes me nervous. That makes me nervous. To Eric's point, I would take like this one right here, Ben Johnson, Mike McCarthy, Pete Carroll. My thoughts, Eric, are yes, yes, and yes. Like, if you tell me those were the three finalists, there's no Mike McCarthy it's probably like McCarthy, Carroll, Ben Johnson in terms of excitement, but those are win-win-win to me. Mike, can't be Flores. I've heard some inside stories about his Miami tenure that will make our blood run cold. He's not the guy for us. I don't think he's the guy. What's up, Eli? I don't think he's the guy at this time for the Bears. I think he's a guy for there's a team out there I think that he would work for. I just don't think it's this particular team right now. Mike's going, McCarthy, Clyde, what's up? Is Mike McCarthy a face-to-face interview with the Bears? Love your lunch podcast. Thank you very much. I believe it is, because they can officially start having people in the building. And I will try to find this out, but I believe that it is Tommy Reese getting the offensive coordinator job in Cleveland. How about that? Tommy Reese moving up will interview for the Bears head coaching. Just will interview. So we'll see. I would think that Mike McCarthy is in person. Yes. What can the Bulls get for Nikola Vucevic? I don't care. Get him out of here. I love him, but get him out of here. They need to start losing quickly. The Bulls are a focus of today's recap bet of the day. The recap lunch hour bet of the day. I took a gamble last night, literally and figuratively. I knew I put my neck out there. Art, I do not like Flores for the Bears. McCarthy is so much better. See how one day can change things? Like, all of a sudden, everyone's like, you know what? Maybe Mike McCarthy's the guy. Yesterday, I was like, I don't know. Look at what he did in Dallas. I did. It was pretty damn good. And then I looked at Green Bay, and it was pretty damn good. And then all of a sudden, you throw out Brian Flores' name, and everyone's like, whoa, let's go with Mike McCarthy. That's why we're having this conversation today. Swayze. They do that, they'll solidify their status as the most inept organization in the NFL. Flores ain't it, man. See? Like, all of a sudden, look at what we're thinking about with Brian Flores. Joe, welcome to the program. The Vikings, I asked this question, by the way, in the chat, and this is what Joe's referring to. I said, who's got the bigger quarterback issue? Think about what just happened with the Minnesota Vikings. The last 2 weeks, they just, after a 14-win season, they had the number one seed right there for the taking, and they're out. Boom, gone. They didn't have good play from Sam Darnold, who had a phenomenal season. They did not have good play from their offensive line, but Sam Darnold was terrible last night. You guys talk about Caleb getting rid of the ball. My God, Sam Darnold, throw the football. And so I said, who's got a bigger quarterback issue, the Vikings or the Bears? Joe says the Vikings. They're at a crossroads, have a rookie quarterback who hasn't taken a snap. Yeah, McCarthy, J.J. McCarthy is basically a rookie on day one next year. You got him in the building, obviously, all year. Never took a snap. Likely Sam Darnold probably leaves for bigger money elsewhere. He might have lost some money the last 2 weeks. I think the Bears are the better quarterback situation. Now, the coaching situation, significantly better. Kevin O'Connell is a quarterback whisperer, no doubt. But the Vikings have issues. The Vikings have issues. Mike thinks that McCarthy's the right guy. Eli's just going one guy and one guy only. And I don't mind this thinking either, Eli, that you only want Ben Johnson or an offensive mind or a trade. But you really only want Ben Johnson. I get it. The Bears will likely narrow it down to Johnson, McCarthy, and Monken. Now, they will not. I don't disagree. I don't think they're getting Ben Johnson. Monken is he's asleep. I think he's a dark horse. He was a head coach at Southern Miss. It was offensive coordinator for the University of Georgia. Has just been absolutely tearing it up in Baltimore. I mean, any other year, Lamar Jackson's an MVP again. I don't know if he'll win back-to-back, but he could be 41-4 on the touchdown interception. Don't sleep on Monken. I think that's a good list, Joe. I think you're onto something there. And if that was the 3, by the way, I think I'm going McCarthy. I got to sneeze, I think. Excuse me. Mike, I can't imagine Ben Johnson would want to go to the Raiders without a quarterback. I think the agent is using the Raiders to drive up his price for the Jags and Bears. Okay. This is about, you're not going there for 1 year. You're not looking small picture. You're looking at the whole enchilada. If the resources have been given to you by ownership to go out and build a program with a GM that lines up with you, let's say it's both a 5-year deal. That's as attractive as a quarterback, guys. I mean, you might be right that the price could be going up, etc. But the Raiders have the 6th pick in the draft. I know it's not as juicy of a quarterback class as last year, but we know how this works. Maybe they trade out of the pick. Maybe they trade up. And maybe they sign a guy like Sam Darnold and then draft a quarterback. There's a lot of things they could do here. Justin says it'd be funny if Tom Brady becomes Belichick's boss. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I think Bill Belichick is probably going, damn, I might have signed with a college team too early. I didn't think the Cowboys job would be open. What up, Jess? You are fine with Flores. We've already had a coach who was friends with the players, and look what happened. Let's try a coach who will push the players to be better. Agreed. We don't need this. Should not be a country club. This should be a football team. I don't need you to like the guy every day. I don't. I don't know if Flores, though, is still the fit here. I don't. Okay. Vizo. Appreciate that. McCarthy in person. Clyde. Best voice for the defense. How about this scenario? How about Mike McCarthy offense, or how about Mike McCarthy head coach Ron Rivera DC? How about that? DC and assistant head coach. Sign me up on that. Mike, go look up what Fitzpatrick said about Flores a couple days ago. Not good. No. You're talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick on Amazon Prime. I just don't see it. Thomas doesn't want it. Other people don't. Personally, I think Tommy says Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles are going to hit it off great. Caleb Williams is the deciding factor. How can you not turn down that? Well, Ben Johnson doesn't love Ryan Poles' contract right now. 2 years. Thomas saying it's Ben Johnson or bust. I hope you guys that say Ben Johnson or bust know that he can lead a football team. Because I don't think, and I've been saying this for weeks, I'm not saying that he could be a Hall of Fame head coach. I don't know. But what I definitely know, I know more about Mike McCarthy leading a football team than I do about Ben Johnson. I know Ben Johnson's a pretty damn talented play caller. I don't know about how he is running an entire organization. So when you say Ben Johnson or bust, I'm like, dude, I got Pete Carroll as an option too. I mean, I'm just saying, like, we don't know. There it is. Kurt coming in with the hot baseball question. So what happened to trading for a top of the rotation starter? We heard it nauseum. Where's the closer? Where's the actual improvement in the offense? Tucker, yes, but that's about it. Kurt talking about the Cubs. By the way, a couple of big podcasts coming here this week. I believe we'll have Jed Hoyer in the house tomorrow, right here. So all of these questions that you have, Kurt, we're going to ask Jed Hoyer, and there might be a surprise guest later in the week as well that might even have more answers to some of the money. Mike says the one gripe on McCarthy is how soft his team was, especially in the trenches. That must change here if it's McCarthy. I don't know, man. The Dallas Cowboys have had year in and year out some of the best offensive line play in football. Micah Parsons is as good as they get on the other side of the football. They were soft defensively. If you look of the games that Dak Prescott played this year for the Cowboys, like, they were really bad defensively. And I don't know, like, how a head coach, to be honest with you, is responsible for, like, player softness. But when you look at these games that Dak Prescott played in, and it was 8 games, here are the points allowed by the Dallas defense. 17, fine. 44, 28, 15, 17, 47, 30, and 27. Then with Cooper Rush comes in 34, 34. They finally got their crap together late in the year, starting kind of with the Giants around Thanksgiving. 20, 14, 24, set or 41 at the end. But my point is, the defense was terrible. I'd only want McCarthy if you paired him with someone like TB for OC. He needs a revamp. Thomas Brown, he needs a revamp of his offensive scheme, but sets a good floor. I don't know, man. Like Cap and I discussed this last night. Like, maybe this is a situation, and I'm not mad if Thomas Brown's on the staff. Thomas Brown did an admirable job for what he was thrown into. The guy went from passing game coordinator to offensive coordinator to head coach in a matter of like 3.5 weeks. But I will say, I don't know if I have a spot for him on this current staff. I'm not going to just hand him the OC job because it's the right thing to do. I didn't love what I saw the last few weeks. 1 million wide receiver screens, no protection, not a lot of scoring. I'm not sure like what's to love. Game management skills is terrible. There's game management skills is a problem across the league. I'm not making an excuse for Mike McCarthy after especially what just happened this year from the Bears and their time management or lack thereof. His in-game management has not been great. However, I don't think it's the end-all be-all to not hiring Mike McCarthy. I agree with you on this one, George. Guys should be clamoring to Coach Caleb. That's why I think the Bears are the most attractive job. The Bears are the most attractive job if you're just talking about football. But if you're talking about ownership, if you're talking about how the GM and his contract lines up with the head coach, that's not attractive. And at some point, aren't you looking at recency bias here? That every 3 to 4 years, we're turning coaches over in this building. Of the last 11 years, 8 of them have been 10 losses or more. I think the 3 that weren't were 8-8 and 2 8-8 seasons, and a 10-6. So come on, Annalisa, she's chiming in. I think from another country. I can't remember where. McCarthy coach, Thomas Brown OC, Robert Saleh as DC. All right, okay. You guys are starting to get me. You guys starting to warm me up here. Everyone feels like Ben Johnson's not coming. That's fine. Thomas Brown hasn't proved a single thing or to warrant getting his original passing game job back, let alone OC. McCarthy is a Packers. Are we serious? Because he's a Packers alum, it's a hard pass. He kicked our ass in Green Bay and then won a Super Bowl too. Come on, man. This whole well, at least we beat Green Bay. I'm done with that crap. I am. We don't hang banners for beating the Packers. We don't hang banners at all. I'm seriously beating the Packers is important. You know what's important to me? When I turn on Wild Card Weekend, that the Chicago Bears have a flipping game. I'd rather have that 20 times a day. Ben Johnson was eyeing it last year, but there wasn't an opening. There should have been, but there wasn't. Thomas, he'll take Salah. I'd be good with Monken. I would too. Justin, thank you for the thank you. This place, man, I'm telling you, the studio's here. Sometimes I'm allergic to it. Mike, Vikings have Daniel Jones and a head coach that relates to quarterbacks, but Daniel Jones' contract's up. Mike, so Daniel Jones is going to be a free agent again. He just wanted to go to a place that he can learn from a different system that was going to go to the playoffs. Everyone believes, Mike, including ESPN, that Ben Johnson's going to Vegas. Mike says the talk about Johnson in Chicago is completely stalled. The dream is over. Hey, sometimes, by the way, somebody mentioned could be agent talk. Sometimes no news is good news, guys. When you hear all of the smoke, oh, this guy, and all of a sudden you find out, wait a minute, why did Ben Johnson go to Vegas? I thought he was coming here. Let's just pump the brakes. Until the Lions are done playing, this could take weeks. But here's my fear with the Bears. I don't want them to wait too long and miss out on other opportunities unless they truly think they're getting the guy. Landon, did you hear about the Michael Reese site news? State could offer $466 million of surplus money to the Bears for that site. Does that mean us tax? Okay. Yes. First of all, Landon, I'm telling you, taxpayers are going to have to foot some type of the bill, period. I really believe that. Anytime these new stadiums are built, they try to make they try to make you feel like it's not all coming from taxpayers, but some of it always does. I don't want anything to do with the Michael Reese site. Count me in on that. I don't. I want to be in Arlington Heights. If I were the damn ownership, I would. I'd like to own the team or own the stadium. Thomas says no one wants to go to Vegas, even with Tom Brady trying to throw his weight in. The Raiders were all and will be will be a shit show. Thomas, I just told you, and Adam Schefter was just on Pat McAfee. The Raiders have become attractive because of Tom Brady. Plus, it's Vegas. Like a lot of these guys live there anyway, like full time. Live in between Arizona, California, and Vegas. Don't tell me it's not attractive. They have their ownership's question. But come on, man. When you have Ben Johnson is the prediction, and then keep an eye on Pete Carroll, that's all I need to know. You want Ben or Monken? No defensive coaches, says Jay. Is that you, Justin Fields, chiming in? Wayne. How is it possible to have so many coaching candidates that the top three are taken before the Bears react? Well, I don't love their process, and they keep adding names to the list, like the Packers OC. Like I mentioned with Cap yesterday, like Matt Kafka, like nothing against him. It just doesn't feel necessary. It does seem like enough's enough. Like, are we waiting for the national title game to be over so we can throw Ryan Day and Marcus Freeman's name into the hat? I mean, come on. Mike says, I think Ben Johnson's going to get a 6-year fully guaranteed deal wherever he goes. He has leverage, so he'll get the years he wants, but the quarterback will be huge for him. Of course, he's going to want as many years as possible. Of course, he's going to want the GM. At some point, though, this is his, like, we're treating Ben Johnson here like he's the next Vince Lombardi. We are. And this is his opportunity. He should be asking for the moon. But again, I keep the receipts, throw it in say I told you so, which is all fine. But I might do the same thing if it doesn't work out. I love the creativity of his offense. I need to know he can be the CEO. Yeah, Tom's got some thoughts today. Who was Mike McCarthy's DC? I don't know. I mean, it was the former Vikings coach down in Dallas. Why can't I believe the Bengals defensive coordinator? Why can't I think of his name? His defensive coordinator recently was Mike Zimmer. That's who it was. I was blanking there. And I know for a fact, ownership and Warren do not want to go 6 years on a coach. None of it is lining up for Ben to be here. By the way, it's okay, guys. They can not hire Ben Johnson and still get it right. Just for all of you guys who they can still get it right. David, you guys are all chiming in here on this $466 million in state funds to build a Bear Stadium. Where does that leave the White Sox in terms of sharing those funds for the 78? I have no idea. The White Sox don't have much of a leg to stand on right now when two teams are fighting for public money, for state money, to build two stadiums. It just, I don't see. The Bears we know need a stadium and are going to build one, but I don't. The White Sox, if I were in government, I'd be saying, you guys, we have 11 items on our to-do list, and you guys rank 21st. Young Sue says Guff is the man. I appreciate you, Young. Mike, swing for the fences. Ben Johnson, Mike McCarthy, respectable double. I don't think the Bears are not swinging for the fences here. They've already interviewed Ben Johnson. I'm just saying, like, I think it's not Ben Johnson, but I don't think it's Ben Johnson or bust. I don't. Ryan says Albert Breer did a great job sharing with Cap earlier of the McCarthy resume versus Tomlin. McCarthy is a safe choice. Mike Tomlin appears to be staying in Pittsburgh. A lot of changes coming, it sounds like. Schefter said Mike Tomlin will be the head coach in Pittsburgh. So Jess was right about that yesterday. Broski says Brian Flores is the Justin Fields of head coaching candidates. Wow. Good, but not good enough. Is that what you're saying, Broski? Couple more here, guys, as we get towards the end of lunch hour. Eli says, why is the White Sox sign these players? Why did they play the young guys and play the kids? They're not going to be able to trade all that they paid for. It's always some money. Look, the White Sox are going to have a payroll, Eli, somewhere in the $60 to $70 million range. I'm just telling you, that's a fact. If they can unload Luis Robert, Andrew Benintendi before the season starts, they will do that as long as they're not getting pennies on the dollars. This year is not about wins. It's about development and trying to get the system in place from the major league level all the way down to rookie ball. Check out the podcast we just did last week with Chris Ketz. You might not like the answers about why will it be different? Why should people care? But when he talks about the infrastructure, when he talks about the resources that they've put into building this thing from the ground up, kind of the way the Cubs did when Theo got there in 2012, that's the stuff that's going to matter. And it's not going to look great on the field in terms of wins and losses, but the way they play the game might be different. When is Hoyer there? Don't let him sidestep what they're doing. Everything, Guff. Great job. Kurt will take care of it, I promise you. Wayne, every coaching prospect is a toss because so many variables, his staff, position players he has. Yeah, Wayne, yes. Exactly. Dead on, Wayne. It's all we're not FaceTiming Cap today, Young. He's in the middle of his doing a little lifting. Appreciate it. We'll get him back on. You know that. No time for admirable jobs. Hire legit staff. Bro, I'm with you, bro. I want a staff like Dan Campbell has, a bunch of former players that are dudes. That's what I want. This call for Thomas Brown to stay to me is weird. No one from his staff should be. I agree. I think it's strange too. I just don't know what he did. If they were scoring 27 points a game at the end, sure. Not defending Thomas Brown, says JB, but he was still using Waldron's garbage. He was not. He was using some plays for it, some variations, and plays that he added along the way. That's no different than if I took over somebody's high school job right now, I would be like, these 5 plays are definitely going in because I love them. Let me see what they have been running, and I'll tweak along the way. He was not just walking in there going, what did Shane do? Okay, let's go with play 7. No, not at all. Eli, 1-year deal. I don't like these 1-year deals. They're not going to do it for you anything. So last year we didn't get Eli, they're not signing any big name ticket. Like signing a free agent right now for the White Sox of consequence doesn't make sense. They're not ready for that. They're bottomed out. See, Tiger, I'm with. Oh, Tiger coming. Are you sure you want Ben Johnson? Because that's kind of like Josh Allen in Buffalo saying that Joe Brady, no, he didn't do anything good. We want him to stay. Oh, here we go. Aaron Rodgers kicked our ass, not McCarthy. That's all right. So we give coaches all the credit when they lose, which you were doing, Thomas. Oh, you sucked at the end. But you give Aaron Rodgers all the credit when they win. Like, it can't be both ways. Okay? Like, okay, fine. Mike McCarthy developed Aaron Rodgers. How about that? Does that work for you? I don't like this. Like, we give all the when shit's going wrong, it's somebody's fault. When everything's right, oh, it's the Hall of Fame player. I think it's somewhere in between. Todd Monken had the number 1 passing offense in 2018 with Winston and Fitzmagic. Think about that. Good stat there, Jay. Flores just got embarrassed in the wild card. No thanks. I think a lot of people feel that way here. A lot of comments, guys. I'm not going to get to all of them. There's a boatload in here. Jimmy says the Bears will get Johnson. Mark my words. Jimmy, come on back and keep saying that after the head coaching job is. If they get him, dude, I might even bring you in. You know, it's going to be like inside source. Jimmy Jam had it from day one. Tiger says Ben Johnson might be going to Jacksonville. A lot of people think that too. Dave, every time somebody says they can't believe Vrabel didn't visit the Bears, come on. He was sitting on Kraft's couch during the Bears Zoom meeting. Dave, that's hilarious. And it's probably true. Lazaro says if it doesn't work out, go back to Carroll, offer him the job. The Bears are losing a lot of time with the rest of the camp. Guys, who else other than Mike Vrabel has signed is a head coach right now? Nobody. So that no one's like, don't panic. There's only 6 of these openings. So don't get too panicky where you're Brian Flores. No, I don't want to do that. All right, let's get the recap bet of the day. Yesterday was tough. Okay. Yesterday was tough. I took a chance, that's what this is, right? That's what this is. Hey, I got to get him in because it's the real Phil Simms. Interview Mike McCarthy. That's happening tomorrow. Make the offer now. As long as the Rooney Rule's taken care of, they can do that. And Jess wants to know, would you take McDaniel from Miami if he was available? Same record as Flores, 2 winning seasons. I don't know, Jess. I don't know how I feel about that. You'd have to trade for him. He is under contract. I'd have to think more on that one. All right, so yesterday did go with Jordan Addison anytime touchdown. Felt good about it. Really was loving the TJ Hawkinson play. I ended up having a winning day, just not here on the recap. I should have just rode what my real heart was, which was the under of Sam Darnold. That was easy. I mean, the way he played. So that's where we are. We are the recap bet of the day, and we don't have football, right? So that makes it a little tougher. But I'm going to ride the Chicago Bulls tonight. We are 10-13-1 since I took an anytime touchdown bet. That's fine. I was willing to take a chance. It was plus 150. It's fine. Zach LaVine has gone over 30 points in 6 straight games. It's a career high. He is playing for his traded life, meaning he is showcasing himself, as are the Bulls. They're playing a guy that they could actually target in trade talks if the New Orleans Pelicans have run out of patience on Zion Williamson, and they kind of have. All right, he was suspended a week ago for missing the team plane or being late. So here's the deal. Zach LaVine's total tonight of 27.5 points at minus 108. I'm going to ride the hot hand. I'm going to say that Zach cares about this. I'm going to say Zach continues to go for it. And that we're going to take the fact that I'm getting that price on those points in this stretch that he has right now. I feel good about it. So I'm riding Zach LaVine. For those of you who can watch the game on CHSN, that game will be on CHSN tonight from the United Center. Otherwise, you're going to have to follow it the old-fashioned way on Gamecast, which, depending if I'm in the office or not, I have to do half the time. But they're good partners of ours. We're happy to partner with CHSN. So the game is on CHSN tonight. Zach LaVine over 27.5 points. We got to get this thing back close to 500. We are 10-13-1. A boatload of comments. People asking about John Gruden. He's not coming off. He's not getting hired in this cycle, guys. He's not. That's why he just signed a massive deal with the guys at Barstool, because I think he understands it ain't happening right now. It's still too soon. Like it or not, that's the case. Plenty of stuff. We'll continue. Cap and I will have a day 10 update later, a Bears recap on what's going on. We'll have a recap rush hour, kind of updating there. We have a Bulls recap after the Bulls game goes final tonight. So plenty to come on the channel. Like I said, Jed Hoyer, I believe, feel pretty good about it. I believe we'll be taping a Cubs recap podcast with Jed Hoyer. Brian Anderson and I will be taping a new White Sox recap podcast this week. What are your questions? What are your questions for Sox Fest? If you were going to ask some questions at Sox Fest to White Sox players and management, what would they be? I'm going to send a tweet out there. You guys fire them back. Brian Anderson and I will answer them. For everybody here at the recap, Katie, everyone behind the scenes, which is just Katie. I'm Ryan McGuffey. This has been the REKAP Lunch Hour with Guff,